you said you do multifamily, so I love that example. If you have an apartment building with 100 units in it, and it's a senior living community, your average tenant only stays for 28 months in the senior living world. So you have this revolving door of they've either passed away or they've moved on to the next level of care that you might not have at that building. And so what I do is I add on front end days, weeks, months onto the front end to where they can get mom care quicker. And so it makes the senior living industry more profitable, and it takes the burden off the families. And so everybody wants to do right by their mother, and they should. And so I always say I deal with the most responsible child, and that's the person I help the most. And when I say child, I've actually had the oldest, most responsible child I've ever helped was 80. He was helping his 98-year-old mother-in-law to sell her house. So when I say child, this is really, 40s to 70s is the age of who I'm talking about here. They are under a gigantic burden. And I'll tell you all the different ways they're being pulled. They just found out their mom has to move into senior living. They're still taking their mom to hospital visits, doctor's visits, to try to help with that. They don't know where. They're meeting with placement agents. They meet with the finance director who tells them how much it costs. They're trying to figure out how they're going to pay for it. They're getting input from their siblings that live all across the country who all have varied opinions. And they all think, oh, you're crazy. Mom's not as bad as you say she is, right? Because they're not there. They're physically not there. And then there's this resentment. Plus, you got to remember that that adult child still has a life. They might be 50-year-old that's married, they still have kids and families and mortgages and jobs. And I was on a podcast yesterday, and the gentleman that was interviewing me literally just went through this with his wife's grandmother because her parents had passed away. So it fell on the granddaughter to do this. And he said it was a 30-hour-a-week job for about 3 months to get her placed. And who has that kind of time, John? And so that's going to fall on one person. And so when I always say I get to wear a cape, I'm not the one that said mom has to move into senior living. I'm not the one that says the place that we picked out is $8,800 a month and how the heck are we going to pay for it? I'm the guy that comes in and says, you don't need to clean this place out. I want you to take your heirlooms and anything of value, leave everything else. You don't have to clean it. You don't have to rehab it. Like the realtor said, here's my list of demands to get it ready for the market. Because the market's good, right? Here's what I want you to do to get a market ready. Imagine, the market's good today. I've lived, 22 years. I've been through the ups and downs. The market's good today. That's good for selling. But how hard does it make it to get competent contractors to get that house ready for the market?
Yeah.
If you're the late person.
I'm just thinking of cleaning it's one, getting everything out it's one thing. Now you got to find an electrician. That's going to take you 6 weeks, right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Assuming that or a painter that knows what he's doing. I mean, there is such a shortage everywhere of skilled, reliable tradespeople that, I'll go back to wholesaling. If you're going to get into rehabbing, build your team because they're out there, but you're going to need to find someone to help you do that. But I like what you're doing.